Welcome back to the deep dive. We're trying something a little different today.
They are.
Usually we take a single topic and drill down, but today we're effectively taking a walking tour. We have this stack of visuals, sort of like blueprints, for a conceptual space called the Museum of Progress and Peril.
It's a fitting name. We love to tell the history of technology as this clean, upward line, cavemen to quantum computing.
Right, a straight shot.
But this museum suggests that innovation is actually a graveyard of wooden prototypes, paper scraps, and absolute disasters that somehow pave the way.
The logo for this place really sums it up perfectly. It's a split graphic. On the left, you've got this rustic, splintery wooden wheel. And on the right, it splices perfectly into a pixelated mouse cursor.
It captures that tension, doesn't it? We're going to walk through this gallery from the 1800s to the algorithmic age, but we aren't just looking at the hits.
No, we're definitely spending some time in the graveyard of bad ideas.
We are. We're looking at the misses, the almosts, and frankly, the things that were just plain dangerous.
I want to start right at the entrance, Exhibit A. The sign reads, "The Analog Ancestors." And honestly, looking at this first artifact, I have questions.
I'm sure you do.
It's a man in a top hat, looking incredibly serious, sitting on a wooden bicycle. But there are no pedals. He's just, straddling a beam.
You are looking at the dandy horse from 1817.
It just looks like a toy for a bored aristocrat. Why would you ride a bike you have to walk with?
See, that's the assumption. It looks silly to us, but the context is grim. Do you know why Karl Drais invented this in 1817?
I just assumed it was some kind of hobby project.
Not at all. 1816 was known as the year without a summer.
Go.
A massive volcanic eruption caused global crop failures. Horses were starving to death or, being eaten by desperate people. There was a literal horsepower shortage.
Wait. So this wasn't for leisure. This was emergency transportation.
Exactly. Drais called it the Lauf machine, the running machine. It was a mechanical response to a biological crisis. And even though you had to run while seated, it doubled a human's walking speed to about 10 miles per hour.
So it's the historical definition of a minimum viable product.
The MVP.
It's not pretty, it has no gears, but it solves the immediate problem of, I need to move faster than a walk, and I ate my horse.
Precisely. Now, let's look at the next artifact in this room. It's a diagram from the early 1900s of a vertical filing cabinet.
Okay, this feels a bit less volcanic eruption and more office supply catalog.
Don't underestimate the filing cabinet.
Right.
Before this, offices used pigeonhole desks. You just stuffed papers into little slots. It was unsearchable chaos.
Right.
The vertical cabinet changed the architecture of information. But look at the diagram, specifically the top edges of the files.
Little tabs sticking up.
Tabs, and the containers themselves are.
Folders. Oh, I see where you're going with this.
We are still using these exact metaphors. When you open your web browser, you open a tab. When you save a document, you put it in a folder.
So the entire sum of human knowledge on a digital interface is organized based on wood and steel furniture from 1900.
That's the one.
That's actually kind of depressing, isn't it? Are we just trapped in this skeuomorphic ghost story?
Yeah.
Have we not invented a native way to organize digital thought yet?
That is the big question. We digitize the furniture instead of reinventing the workflow. And speaking of digitizing, let's step into Exhibit B, the loom of data.
This room feels heavy. We're looking at the digitization of information, but it starts with paper.
It starts with the Jacquard loom in 1804. It used cards with punched holes to tell the loom which thread to lift.
So binary.
It was binary hole or no hole over a century before the first computer.
And that leads us to this beige rectangular card in the center case, the IBM card. It's got 80 columns and numbers, and there's that famous phrase printed right on it.
Do not fold, spindle, or mutilate.
I feel like I've heard that my whole life, but I never thought about the spindle part. What is that?
A spindle was literally a metal spike. A manager would stab completed papers onto it, but if you stabbed a data card,
You just destroyed the code.
you destroyed the code. This was the era where data was tangible. A megabyte wasn't a file transfer. It was a stack of paper weighing 50 pounds that you had to physically carry across a room.
It really changes how you view the cloud. We think of data as so ethereal now, but it started as something you could accidentally crush if you sat on it.
And that physical cost brings us to Exhibit C, tangible memory. We have 3 price tags here that tell a terrifying economics story.
Okay, I'm looking at the first item, core memory. From a CDC 6600 supercomputer, 1964, It looks like a little woven rug made of copper wire.
It's actually tiny magnetic donuts, and they were woven by hand.
By hand? You're kidding.
Nope. Someone had to thread wires through magnets, and the price tag, $7 for 1,024 bits.
So what, $7 for a short tweet? If we tried to build a modern iPhone with this memory.
It would cost billions of dollars and be the size of the Empire State Building.
Wow.
That's why the next item, the silicon wafer at $3.50, is maybe the most important object in the room. It moved us from handmade crafts to printing circuitry.
But then there's the third item, the slide rule, for $6.95.
And that's the tragedy of the exhibit. The slide rule was the computer for 300 years. It built bridges. It put Apollo on the moon. Engineers wore them on their belts like swords.
And then the electronic calculator appeared.
And it didn't just fade away. It evaporated. Sales dropped to near zero almost overnight.
Just gone.
It's a reminder that tangible tech can become a museum piece in the blink of an eye. You can be the standard for 3 centuries and be obsolete by Tuesday.
That's a comforting thought for anyone working in tech right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of becoming obsolete, let's look at Exhibit D, the explosion of language. It's this massive flowchart on the wall shaped like a river delta.
This visualizes how we talk to machines. At the top, in the 1950s, you have the pioneers. Fortran, COBOL. These languages were very close to the metal. You had to understand how the machine thought.
Then we hit the 1970s, the structure era. C, Pascal, SQL. So why the shift?
Systems were just getting too complex for, spaghetti code. We needed structure. But look at what happens in the 90s. The river just branches out wildly. Java, HTML, Python.
The web.
The web. Exactly. Suddenly, the priority wasn't just calculation. It was connectivity. And now, look at the bottom, the 2010s, Rust, Swift, Go. The focus has shifted again, this time to safety and speed.
It's interesting that as computers got faster, we built languages that stopped us from breaking them.
We had to. The infrastructure became too critical to fail.
Okay, we've seen the ancestors. Now I want to go to the wing I've been eyeing since we walked in. The sign says Hall of Failures.
A university of hard knocks.
We're entering Wing I, Consumer Electronics. The theme is right idea, wrong time. And honestly, this first item gives me a phantom headache. The Nintendo Virtual Boy.
1995. Nintendo promised virtual reality. What they delivered was a monochromatic red display that you couldn't even strap to your head. You had to lean into it on a table.
I remember playing this at a kiosk.
Yeah.
It wasn't just bad, it was physically painful. Why on earth did they release this? They must have known.
Pressure. They needed a 32-bit product to compete with Sony, so they pushed the tech before it was ready. The lesson is, a minimum viable product shouldn't cause retinal damage.
Next to it. Okay, I'm going to defend this one. The Microsoft Zune. It was a brown brick, sure, but the interface was actually pretty good.
The Zune was a perfectly functional device. Its failure wasn't technical, it was strategic. It launched years after the iPod had already locked everyone into the iTunes ecosystem.
So good enough doesn't beat a monopoly.
Not even close. And look at the Betamax next to it. Better picture quality than VHS, but VHS won the rental war.
So superior tech does not guarantee market victory.
Ecosystems do.
Let's move to Wing 2. The vibe shifts here. It's darker. The theme is high stakes and hubris.
Right. These are the failures that hurt people.
We have a vial of blood for Theranos, a diagram of the Ford Pinto's fuel tank, and the Tata Nano car.
Theranos is the ultimate example of fake it till you make it going criminal. You just cannot beta test medical diagnostics. But the Ford Pinto and Tata Nano tell a different story about cost.
The Nano was the world's cheapest car, right? Like $2,500.
It was. But to get to that price, they cut so many corners that the car had a tendency to just catch fire. It felt unsafe. It proved there is a floor to cost cutting.
If your innovation scares the user, the price doesn't matter.
Exactly.
That leads nicely into Wing 3, Identity Crisis. This is my favorite display case. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And right in the center, a box of Colgate Lausanne.
Yes. The toothpaste company.
I have to ask, did it taste like mint?
No, it was normal lasagna. But this is a perfect case study in what we call cognitive dissonance.
Meaning our brains just couldn't process it.
Exactly. When you see the Colgate logo, your brain primes you for minty fresh. Putting that logo on a beef dinner creates a biological recoil. The brand elasticity just snapped.
Same with this bottle of Harley-Davidson perfume, I assume.
Oh, the motorcycle. They alienated their core biker demographic who did not want perfume and confused everyone else who did not want to smell like exhaust.
And then there's the Bic for Her pens.
A pink pen.
Because apparently my delicate male hands can use generic pens, but women needed a special grip.
It was pointlessly gendered utility. The internet tore them apart. It really showed that consumers were becoming savvy enough to spot cynical marketing.
Finally, wing forth, the Wait What collection.
These are the ones where you just wonder if anyone in the boardroom was actually awake.
The Juicero, the $400 internet-connected juice press.
Which squeezed a bag of juice. A bag that, as it turned out, you could squeeze faster with your own hands.
It was over-engineering to the point of absurdity. A solution to a problem that didn't exist.
And then there's Google Glass. A privacy nightmare, for sure. But more than that, it failed what I call the dignity test.
The dignity test.
Does the user look respectable using your product? Google Glass made people look like cyborgs and feel like spies. If your tech makes the user a social pariah, it is going to fail.
Leaving the Hall of Failures, we step into this massive, bright corridor. The Great Transition, 1998-2012. This feels like the bridge between that analog past and our current reality.
This is where the world actually changed, and it was not instant.
The timeline here is split into 3 phases. Phase 1, the setup, from 98 to 2002. This is the dot-com bubble bursting.
Yes, but look at the disruptors. Napster.
Napster didn't last, though.
No, but it broke the rules. It taught an entire generation that music was a digital file, not a CD. It forced the industry to adapt. It was a peril that forced progress.
Then Phase 2, the tipping point, from 2003 to 2006.
The key metric here is broadband. In 2004, broadband overtook dial-up. Before that, the multimedia web was a myth because it took an hour to download a photo. Broadband made the modern internet physically possible.
And finally, Phase 3, digital dominance, 2007 to 2012. The iPhone appears.
And the analog world shuts down. Analog TV signals ceased in 2009. By 2012, digital wasn't a separate space you visited. It was the layer on top of reality.
Now, before we exit, there's a small side room here called the Learning Center. It's full of toys. Lego Technic, Speak and Spell. Why is this here?
Because we have to ask. Who built the iPhone? Who fixed the mess of the dot-com crash? It was the kids who grew up playing with these toys.
I had the Lego Technic 2 set. It had motors and gears.
Exactly. It didn't just teach you to stack bricks. It taught you engineering physics. And the Speak and Spell, that was the first time a child realized a machine could talk to them.
There's a book on the desk here, Mindstorms by Seymour Papert.
Paper is the philosopher of this room. He believed that computers shouldn't just be drill and practice machines. He said they were mud pies for ideas. You build with them to understand how you think. The generation raised on that philosophy is the generation that built the cloud.
So we've walked the whole museum. We've seen the dandy horse, the punch cards, the failed lasagna, and the toys that taught us to code. We're at the exit, and there's a final plaque, the curator's strategy guide.
This is the synthesis. Based on every failure we just saw, here are the 6 rules for innovation.
Let's run through them. Rule 1, customer need is king.
Don't pull a lifesaver soda. Just because you can make liquid candy doesn't mean anyone actually wants to drink it. Solve a real problem.
Rule 2, watch the price tag.
Barriers kill functional tech. Google Glass was $1,500. It became a toy for the elite, which made everyone else hate it.
Rule 3, ensure readiness.
No more virtual boys. Don't beta test hardware on the public's nervous system.
Rule 4, monitor the competition.
Remember Betamax. You can have the best resolution in the world, but if your competitor has the ecosystem, you lose.
Rule 5, gauge demand.
Brand recognition isn't a free pass. Colgate means clean teeth, not dinner. Respect the psychology of your user.
And Rule 6, respect the core.
Don't pull a new Coke or a Harley perfume. Don't alienate the people who love you just to chase people who don't care.
That's a pretty solid checklist. If startup founders taped that to their monitors, we might save billions of dollars.
We certainly would. And as we leave, look at the final graphic above the door. It's the digital legacy.
It's the cycle. 1817, the wheel. 1900, the punch card. 1970, the chip. And today, the cloud.
And the connection is vital. The filing cabinet gave us the folder. The loom gave us the code. Innovation isn't about discarding the past. It's about refining it. It's a messy, chaotic process of failing, looking foolish, and trying again.
So in a way, that ridiculous man on the dandy horse is the most important person in this entire museum.
He was willing to look silly to move faster. That's the spirit of the whole thing.
Well, that brings us to the end of our tour. But I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. We laughed at the Juicero, we shook our heads at the Virtual Boy, but look around you right now. Look at the smart tech in your house.
And ask yourself, Which of today's revolutionary AI gadgets or smart appliances will be sitting in Wing V of the Hall of Failures 20 years from now?
Are we innovating, or are we just making Colgate Lausanne with microchips? Think about that. Thanks for taking the deep dive with us.
Stay curious.